Hey. All right, just coming in today for some chitty chats about this book, Letting Go. I know it's in reverse on the Instagram. Oh, one of them it's reversed. Anyway, yeah, this book has been really powerful for me, and really wanting to encourage people to read it. But I know, because I listen to lots of audiobooks as well, and listening to videos on people breaking down different aspects of books really helps to get the insight from the book, and then encouraging to find that and read it ourselves. So part of the book is going through the different energy centers and the different emotions associated with each energy center and each chakra. So the book is Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender by Dr. David Hawkins. And he has a lot of different books on different aspects of all of this. And this is the only one that I have so far, but I do want to get some more. So I want to read some parts of the book and then go into my experience as well with different aspects of what it brings up. And so the book starts off with talking about the emotions and the scale of emotions and the scale and the frequency that the emotions reside at, and how that calibrates our whole body, and how that calibrates how we are operating in the world. And so it starts off with the mechanisms of letting go. And so different parts of talking about letting go, and letting go of holding on and attachment to like desired outcomes, attachment to people, places, and things. And so this has been really helpful, and I've gone back to it quite a few times. And so by continuously letting go, it is possible to stay in that state of freedom. Feelings come and go, and eventually you realize that you are not your feelings, but the real you is merely witnessing them. You stop identifying with them. The you that is observing and is aware of what is happening always stays the same. As you become more and more aware of the changeless witness within you, you begin to identify with that level of consciousness. You become progressively primarily the witness rather than the experiencer of the phenomena. You get closer and closer to the real self and begin to see that you had been duped by feelings. And so the part of that really stands out to me is that as you become more and more aware of the changeless witness within. So it is being able to remove ourselves from and not identifying with the emotion and allowing them to flow through. And something that I quite like is to feel like we are the sky of awareness, we are the beautiful, brilliant blue sky. And our emotions are the clouds and the storms and the weather that constantly changes across the sky. And the sky is always staying the same. The sky is the beautiful sky that it is. And these storms can rage, and these clouds can come through, and these heavy, dense, low clouds can settle in and be quite somber and dreary, and rain for days. And then they can clear up, and this beautiful, brilliant sky of awareness can shine through again. So whenever anything is coming up that is really potently heavy, which has been a lot of my year, has been like lots of challenging upgrades of learning lessons the hard way, and learning and understanding different things about myself and how I've projected and how I've been defensive and how I've been reactive, and got kind of stuck in a little bit of that pattern of not being aware, and just kind of spiraling into these different layers, which I'm going to go into. And so it's really, detaching identifying and being aware of them, but then kind of just letting them flow and knowing that they'll move through us. So without planning anything, I'm just going to read stuff that I've written on in here, because it's got lots of different portions that have been highlighted. So what is this one? When letting go, ignore all thoughts. Focus on the feeling itself and not on the thoughts. Thoughts are endless and self-reinforcing, and they only breed more thoughts. Thoughts are merely rationalizations of the mind to try and explain the presence of a feeling. The real reason for the feeling is the accumulated pressure behind the feeling that is forcing it to come up in the moment. The thoughts or external events are only an excuse made up by the mind. And so this is what I've experienced a lot this year. And I feel like a lot of people have, based on our clients and people I've spoken to. It's been a very much a transformative year of a lot of like letting go and a lot of leveling up and a lot of resistance to letting go as well, which is what I've been experiencing. A lot of resistance to letting go, but just really like trusting and knowing that if something is falling away, that it's falling away for a reason, so that maybe it can come back in a better way, and maybe that it is making room for something else. And we know and understand this, but sometimes just letting ourselves go with it can be a lot harder, because our human is attached to the old story, and our human can be very attached to the old story. And the old story that we create is based on our beliefs and our limiting beliefs and our programming. And these old stories that we create, we hold on to and kind of like wear them like armor, or some kind of badge of honor. That was really well put to me by one of my clients as well, that she was wearing her trauma like a badge of honor. And so, like, look at what I've been through, look at what I've suffered through. And I felt that she really understood the process by being able to use that analogy to explain what she had been through and the processes, and why she was projecting out that way her suffering. And our suffering is of our own self-imposed repetitive thoughts that cycle through. And so what this is saying is that the thoughts are merely rationalizations of the mind trying to explain the presence of a feeling. So understanding especially the repetitive thoughts that aren't mindful. We're creating our mindful thoughts, and we're being more mindful about raising our frequency, and we're being more mindful within our meditations and within our own inner self-talk, when we know that they are our structured inner self-talk. But when the spiraling thoughts come in of self-doubt, of anger itself, of all these lower vibrational frequencies, this is all like old patterning, this is old hurt structure that's coming through from where we haven't allowed ourselves to witness ourself in that feeling. And that feeling could be from where we were 10, 12, 5, 16, 18, 20. It could be from a time like 2 months ago, where we didn't allow ourselves to fully witness the feeling. And this repetitive thought cycle that's coming up based on that is trying to get us to look at the feeling. Is basically what it does. And yeah, this has been my lesson recently as well, is like, why is the thought spiraling and spiraling and spiraling? But we can get so trapped on focusing on the thoughts and our mind that we really ignore the lower chakras and the lower centers. And that's been very aware to me based on my health and how I've been looking after myself or not looking after myself. And so these things are really interesting to look at when we can be really self-aware and reflective, and look and understand at how we're being toxic towards ourselves, and this toxic nature that we have. And if we have toxicity in our life, around our life, if people are reflecting toxically back to us, or if we continue to expect perceive people, places, and things in a negative way, then we are internally having a negative vibrational state that we're resonating at. So this book goes into the vibrational states of all of the emotions and the scale of emotions as well. So some of you might have seen the chart, the vibrational chart, and it goes from the lower. I don't know if he's got it in here. I don't think he has. But it's on the websites and associated with this book. But it's got your lower vibrational emotions at the bottom, with all the lower frequencies, which relate to the lower chakras, which is where we hold on to those. And then it's a reverse pyramid at the top, which is your higher frequency and vibration, which relate to your upper chakras. And so the scale of emotions, starting from the bottom, and I won't read through all of them because there's a lot, but the vibrational state of the lowest one that he's got in here is shame, which vibrates, the number that he's got associated with that is 20. And so characterized by humiliation, as in hanging your head in shame, and it's traditionally accompanied by banishment, and it's destructive to health and leads to cruelty towards self and others. So this is and I think it's written in this book or somewhere else I found it, that the lower, like this is, shame is lower than depression and apathy, and even lower than guilt. That this, the lower than that is like death state. Like there's nothing lower than, in terms of the vibrational frequency. So if we're holding ourselves in shame, then we're holding ourselves in a very low toxic vibration. We're holding ourselves, and this is really going to affect how grounded we feel. Our root chakra is going to be very distorted and very slow, and we can have a lot of problems in our digestion, and through assimilating nutrients from our food, all of that, feeling very sluggish in our digestion, and having a lot of problems in that area of feeling very uneasy. And so going up from that, we've got guilt, which is 30. And in this energy field, one wants to punish and be punished. It leads to self-rejection, remorse, feeling bad, and self-sabotage. It's all my fault, and very accident prone. And so projection of self-hatred into evil. Others are onto others is common. So projecting that others are and this is the basis of many psychosomatic illnesses within guilt. And so these are all moving up slightly through the different chakras as well, but all of these are lower. Apathy is 50, grief is 75, fear is 100. This energy sees danger, which is everywhere. It is avoidant, defensive, preoccupied with security, possessive of others, jealous, restless, anxious, and vigilant. And so desire is also a lower vibrational frequency, because desire has an energy of lack. So if you're desiring something that is outside of you, then you are lacking that. And so that frequency of desire is can be a repelling frequency. So desire is always seeking gain, acquisition, pleasure, and getting something outside of oneself. It is unstable. It is never satisfied, and craving, and I have to have it, to give me what I want and give it to me now. And there's like a very much like a lack. And even anger is above desire in its vibrational frequency. So anger is 150, because anger has more momentum to it. Anger is more of I want to do something about this. Like there's more of it has more momentum behind it, and more forward momentum, whereas desire is passive. You're sitting back, you're wanting things to come to you, whereas anger at least has forward momentum and wanting to do something about it and taking a stand for ourselves. So anger is the energy. This energy overcomes the source of fear by force, threats, and attack. It is irritable, explosive, bitter, volatile, and resentful, and it likes to get even. And I'll show you, And so this is still a low vibrational frequency, but it's higher than desire and fear and grief, because anger has forward momentum, which all of the upper above that have more of a forward momentum to it. So pride is above that at 175, courage at 200, neutrality. So neutrality is 250. And this is a way of life that is comfortable, pragmatic, and relatively free of emotionality. It's okay either way. And it's free of rigid position, non-judgmental, and non-competitive. So if we can get ourselves to this state, and a lot of people that talk about manifesting and the law of attraction, the law of assumption, and bringing things in that you want to create in your world, a lot of what they say in terms of your dreams and your goals and your desires is I'm okay either way. And this is what he's got here. Neutrality is it's okay either way. If I get the thing, if I don't get the thing, it's okay either way. And that's said a lot in the people that I watch that are in the manifesting community and through the law of attraction, law of assumption. And so feeling quite neutral about all of the events that happen around us is feeling that you're quite stable in your emotional field. You're not affected by the things that are happening around you, by the events, the circumstances, the people, the places, the things. And this is a state that we want to get to: love, peace, all these really high vibrational, beautiful, beautiful things. But if we can sit in this space of neutrality, especially if we're feeling in really, really low vibrational states of guilt, shame, regret, anger, resentment, and grief, then feeling into a state of peace and love like that is such a high gap, right? And so this book really guides you through each one in each stage, so you can feel the evolutionary release within your emotional field and within your chakra system and through the emotions naturally. Like trying to jump from guilt to love is a huge state. But if we can a huge gap, but if we can jump from guilt to anger and then feel the forward momentum and release the anger and then move forward from that, then that's creating a bridge. So each of these emotional states and each of these the forward momentum through the chakras they're all bridges, and we all naturally move up and down through them, but it's being aware of when we get into those emotional states to remove ourselves, don't identify with the thoughts, what is the feeling, and move through the feeling. And the thoughts are telling you what feeling you need to look at. And so above neutrality is willingness at 310. This energy subserves, can I say that? This energy subserves survival by virtue of a positive attitude that welcomes all expression of life. It is friendly, helpful, wants to assist, and seeks to be of service. And that's at 310. So that neutrality is a great space to be in, but it can be very not dormant, but yeah, just passive. Like we're just like observing and happy, and it's okay either way, right? And we want to have an element of that to us constantly as we're observing everything. And then moving up to acceptance at 350, then reason at 400. And at reason, this aspect differentiates humans from the animal world. There is an ability to see things in the abstract, to conceptualize and to be objective, and to make rapid and correct decisions. It is enormous. Its enormous utility is problem solving. Science, philosophy, medicine, and logic are all expressions of this level. So being able to see things from all angles, really, to be able to observe and be able to understand why things are happening the way that they're happening, and to be able to know and yeah, problem solve from an objective point of view of what's happened, rather than if something has happened, rather than falling into guilt and shame and apathy. And maybe we allow that emotion to ride through, and we have the sky of awareness, and this is a storm coming through, and we ride it and we release it. So we're not in a constant storm, we're not in a constant hurricane, because we all know that they move on, they lose their power, they dispel, they remove from the environment, and they lose their momentum. And so above reason, we have love, which vibrates, or he's got 500 here, a way of being that is forgiving, nurturing, and supportive. It does not proceed from the mind, rather it emanates from the heart. Love focuses on the essence of a situation, not the details. It deals with wholeness, not particulars. As perception is replaced with vision, it takes no position and sees the intrinsic value and lovability of all that exists. And so this is, like I mentioned in one of my previous videos recently, is like love trumps everything. And if you can feel into a love vibration and send that to anything that's going on. So I've got digestive issues that I've had for like most of my life. So there's still layers of things that I'm releasing within that area, which we talked about earlier, which is like the fear and the shame. So there's different layers of things that I'm releasing from that. And so being able to tap into our heart center and expand it, and then send love down and send love to the situation, to be able to conceptualize it in our mind and send love to whatever it is that we're wanting to move through, then we can raise our vibrational state within that. And so above love, we have joy. And joy is love that is unconditional and unchanging, despite circumstances and actions of others. So love that is unconditional and unchanging, despite circumstances and actions of others. So holding unconditional love, despite circumstances and actions of others. The world is illuminated by exquisite beauty when we are in joy, which is seen in all things. The perfection of creation is self-evident. I like that statement. The perfection of creation is self-evident. There is closeness to unity and discovery of self, compassion for all, enormous patience, the feeling of at oneness with others, and a concern for their happiness. A sense of self-completion and self-sufficiency prevails. And above joy, so joy is 540, and then peace is 600. And this is the highest that we have. Peace, so this is experienced as perfection, bliss, effortlessness, and oneness. It is a state of non-duality beyond separateness. That's a really hard word to say. Separatedness, there's no D in there. Separateness. Let's start that one again. Having some resistance with going into peace. This is experienced as perfection, bliss, effortlessness, and oneness. It is a state of non-duality beyond separateness. There's no two nesses. I can't get that one. I think there's some resistance around that. This is experienced as perfection, bliss, effortlessness, and oneness. It is a state of non-duality beyond separateness. I don't know, the word is really weird for me today. And beyond the intellect. Maybe I'm intellectualizing it too much. As in the peace that, oh, there's lots of words in here that are challenging for me. I have resistance around peace. It is described as illumination and enlightenment. It is rare in the human realm. There we go. So those are on the scale of emotion. And there was something else that I wanted to bring in which related to that. I have to find which page it's on. Maybe it's not. Oh yeah, here it is. The energy levels are also traditionally associated with the body energy centers that are sometimes referred to as chakras. The chakras are energy centers through which Kundalini energy is said to flow. Once it is awakened at the level of courage, the energy centers and the chakras can be measured by the variety of clinical techniques and sensitive electronic instruments. On the map of consciousness, the chakras calibrate as follows. The crown at 600. And so that's why peace is 600. The third eye at 525. And so so 525 is between love and joy. So the third eye at 525, the throat at 350, which is acceptance. The heart at 505, which is just above love. Solar plexus at 275, which is between neutrality and willingness. Sacral or spleen is 275. Did I just... Solar plexus and sacral and spleen are both 275. And the base or the root chakra at 200, which is courage. So that is why he said that the Kundalini energy is activated when we get to courage, because when we are below that, we are in shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, and pride. And so above pride is courage. So if we can move through these and move through pride even. So pride is my way is the best. We all know what pride is. I'm right, you're wrong. This level is focused on achievement, desire for recognition, specialness, and perfectionism. It feels better than and superior to others. So when we can move through pride and up into courage, this is when we can ignite the Kundalini energy and we can start really actually moving into these different levels and layers of the emotions within the body. And so I've been up in these feeling neutrality a lot, but this year I've definitely fallen back down into these lower vibrational frequencies, which a lot of people have. And I feel like this dip down for me anyway was like a really transforming through really heavy void portals. So these portals of like dark shadow work emotions. So working within these emotions this is where the shadow work is, because this is where the limiting beliefs are. This is where we're projecting our own pain and our own wounding onto the people around us. And so when we're in these lower vibrational states, our wounding is very open and we are very easily affected by others. So other people's emotional state really affects us, and we get triggered highly when we are feeling into those lower vibrations. And the world is against us when we're in those lower states, and the world is against us, and we are in a state of suffering when we're in those lower states. So if we're feeling like we're suffering, if we're feeling like woe is me, the world is against me, everything is hard, life is hard, things don't work out, I can never get ahead, I never have enough money, people have more than me, people are doing better than me, this feeling of comparison, comparing ourselves to others. And this is a state that is really about going into the shadow work. If we can hold ourselves for that long in those lower states, then why not just go deeper? Why not just go deeper and really fucking transmute through it all, right? Because that is the only way to release through it. And so doing shadow work, and I work with Goddess, I work with Dark Goddess, and I work with a lot of shadow work techniques going into meditation, where it is delving into the darker parts of the psyche and really illuminating and shining and shedding light on those. And so the dark moon ceremony that we had on the weekend, it was really powerful and really potent for those that were there. And there was a huge shift in deeper, denser layers of conditioning and of walls that were put up being brought down. So there's more harmony with the world around us, there's more harmony with the people around us, and more harmony in our engagements with other people. And so the dark moon ceremony I'm going to do every month. So the next one will be, I can't look on my phone, calendar on my phone because it's not there. I think it was, oh, here we go. Let's have a look. Let's do this the old way. And talking about the dark, going into dark portals on this calendar is the dark night. Really beautiful nebula calendar that I got, the Horsehead Nebula in Orion. So yeah, probably on the 16th. Yeah, I think. Oh, maybe that weekend there, Sunday the 10th, because I'd like to do it on a weekend day. Because the 13th, maybe the 12th. So we'll pop that out there. So yeah, I do try and make sure that it's on a weekend closest to that, just based on my schedule, but eventually I'd like it to be right on the time. But I think a few days beforehand we do that process, then leading into it, you are able to also then integrate that into your own process that you then do on the actual night of the dark moon. And then leading into the new moon, you've got more forward momentum going out as well. So bringing that in for you today. So yeah, definitely check out this book. Yeah, I might do a few more videos where I go through different sections. Sometimes I use it like an oracle card, and I'll just open it at a page and read what is there. So joy and gratitude. Let's read a bit of this before we head off. Because pride, which is the one before that, maybe, because pride is sometimes seen as a motivator of achievement, what would be its higher level substitute? One answer would be joy. So that's a great way to move from pride, which is the one that is stopping the Kundalini energy from starting to move up, which is pride. But if we can feel joy in what we're doing rather than prideful of what we're doing, then when we're going to access a different level of consciousness around what we're creating. And so what is wrong with joy as the reward for successful achievement rather than pride? Pride carries with it the desire for recognition from others, and consequently there is a vulnerability to anger and disappointment if it is not forthcoming at some point. If we can achieve a certain goal for the pleasure, enjoyment, and the love of accomplishment, and the inner joy that it brings to us, we are invulnerable to the reaction of others. I really like that. That's great. I'm going to read that again. Pride carries it with it the desire for recognition from others, and consequently there is a vulnerability to anger and disappointment. So if we're holding ourselves in pride, then when we're not getting the validation from others, so a group that I'm in at the moment is very much about you validate yourself, you're being witnessed, but you're not being validated, and that's what we've been programmed from very young, is the validation. And so if we hold ourselves in pride, the potential when we're not being validated to fall into anger and disappointment, and then spiraling from lower and from disappointment, we would spiral lower into depression, apathy, depression. And then there would be anxiety around what we're wanting to do next, because then the anxiety of being disappointed again would continue us on that cycle. And so if we achieve a certain goal for the pleasure, enjoyment, love of accomplishment, and the inner joy that it brings us, we are invulnerable to the reactions of others. We can recognize our proneness to pain by looking at the kind of reactions we are hoping to elicit from others by our choices and behavior. This includes mannerisms, expressions, style of dress, and the kind of possessions we choose, the brand name of car we drive, the kind of home we have, the address at which we live, the schools we have attended, or with by which our children attend, all these labels. Get that low power mode off. At this point, this points to another one of the drawbacks of pride, the explodability of which it exposes us. Pridefulness means that we can be manipulated with great ease in return for an absurdity, a great deal of money. It is lifted out of our pockets. Interesting. So yeah, I'm going to go back to that. If we achieve a certain goal from the pleasure, enjoyment, love of accomplishment, and the inner joy that it brings to us, we are invulnerable to the reaction of others. So yeah, finishing off with that. And yeah, sending you on your day. I'm going to go gardening now. Okay, bye.